Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Long time no talk. If you can't tell, this is the first YouTube video I'm doing with you guys on my brand new camera, and I'm using my microphone, of course. Upgrades, people. No more phone recording for us. All right, so if you can't tell, we are doing a book review. So I got in a book slump in March. So instead of doing like a 3-book review in March and then like a 2-book review in April, I'm like, why don't we just do the last 3 months? So it goes down a little further than shown. So it's gonna be a thick review, and I hope you guys are ready. All right, so to begin, we are starting off with green books. I made it kind of my goal in March because I like to be kind of a aesthetic reader, or so I think. I think I like to be an aesthetic reader. Turns out I don't, because I got into a book slump, but you'll see. I tried to read green books only for March. I hope the stack doesn't fall down. To begin, we have The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. Okay, I give this book 3 out of 5 stars. This is best friends to lovers. They both are in love with each other. He's like an NFL football man. She's like a dancer type vibe. They're both in love with each other, but they don't tell each other they're in love with each other. That's the vibe of this book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't necessarily anything to write home about, but there wasn't this like overwhelming conflict, which I kind of enjoyed. It was just a very peaceful, fun, romantic read. Next green book we have is my green classic. If you're unfamiliar, I try to read at least 1 classic a month. I've been trying to collect this specific Penguins classic collection. So my green classic is The Gift of Magi by O. Henry. This isn't just The Gift of Magi, which is a short story. This is a collection of O. Henry's short stories. I really enjoyed The Gift of Magi though itself. That was a great story. That was probably one of my favorites in this book. Overall, I would give this a consensus of 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoy O. Henry short stories. I think he's wonderful. But yeah, I would say overall 3 out of 5 stars as a whole for all of the short stories. Next green book we have is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I give this 4 out of 5 stars. Please look at this gorgeous edition. 4 to 5 stars. Will I be continuing this series? No, I will not. This book is about this girl who's poor, and she ends up getting a letter saying, hey, you are actually entitled in my will to $46.2 billion. She has no relation to this man. She doesn't know this man. She's never met this man. This man's entire family is like, why are you getting money? Especially more money than the rest of us. That's the whole mystery of this book. This book was good. Obviously, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. It was a fun adventure. I sadly, though, guessed the plot twist, the mystery aspect of this within the first 3 chapters of the book. Before the family even got introduced, I guessed. I don't like that. Even through the twists and turns of the books, trying to like confuse you to think that you don't know anything, it wasn't done well enough for me personally, where I was willing to change my original idea that I know what happens at the end. But obviously 4 to 5 stars. I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. It was a fun adventure. I just won't be continuing the series unless like there's a pretty edition, and I feel like the author just keeps writing books when it should have been done. I think I heard someone say it should have been done on the 3rd book, and they're on book like what, 5 or 6. So yeah, I'm not committed enough to go on that journey. Still fun. Would recommend this book if you're into, you know, mysteries and all that jazz. Next green book we have is Linger by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the 2nd book in the Wolves of Mercy Fall series. I read the 1st book, I believe, in October. I read the series when I was younger though, and I really enjoyed it. I never finished it, so I thought, why not reread it? This is like a teen, maybe young adult werewolf romance, so if you do read this, don't expect the world out of it. But I'm a werewolf girly through and through, so I love this. I give this one 3 out of 5 stars. I like the plot twists that are at the end of every book, although they are obvious and they are definitely seen, you know, early on in the book what's gonna happen. I just think this is good. It's nothing challenging. I'm excited for the rest of the series. There's only 2 more books, so we'll see what happens. Next green book we have, this one's kind of funny. This is the Warrior Cat series by Erin Hunter. I didn't write this. This is a children's book. I just read this because it's green and we had it on our shelf. And like while I was trying to round up green books, I saw this and was like, okay. If you don't know what this series is, basically the warrior cats are the ones who are the wild cats. And then there's the kitty pets who are the ones who, you know, are pets of humans. And this specific cat gets found by one of the clans one day and is invited to become part of this this clan, and there's like wars going on within the clans and whatnot. It's a big series, and then there's side series, and then there's sequel series. Like, there's a lot in this series. But yeah, I didn't rate this because, once again, it's a children's book. I don't think I can fairly rate this, but still super fun. Next book we have is The Twisted Hate by Anna Huang. This is part of the Twisted series. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. This is my least favorite book in this series. Still 4 out of 5 stars. This author is wonderful. Great job, Anna. So this book is about Jules and Josh, and they kind of have the trope in this book is I hate you, you know, we're enemies. It's giving enemies to lovers, but like even when they're lovers, they still hate each other. Not really my thing, but still 4 out of 5 stars. It was great. I love how there's always like a overwhelming issue going on throughout these books, and then as well as the romance. I enjoy that. I think that's why I like this series so much, because there's a problem that needs to be solved, and then there's a relationship aspect. Next, we have Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. This is the last book in the Twisted series. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. This is my second least favorite. This is the biggest in the series. Beefy book. Twisted Lies is about Christian Harper and Stella Alonso, so part of the girlfriend group, part of the boyfriend group, and their romance. So those are the main characters. The trope is, you know, rich man, rich girl, that vibe. I love the end, and I love how it ties everything off, and it kind of gives us closure for every character in the series. But I like that this book and this series, and it seems all of Anna Huang's series connect in some way. So this book introduces more so of a character that is in the, I think it's called the King of Sin series. The first book's called The King of Wrath, I think. It's on my bookshelf. I can't read it, but if you know, you know. Anyway, 4 out of 5 stars. Great series. Would recommend this series. Love it. Next book. Y'all, I could ramble. I could ramble for so long about this book. 4 out of 5 stars. I know, weird that I could ramble for so long. You'll see why. This is called Angels Before Man by Rafael Nicolás. So this book I gave 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, I understand I'm ranting and raving about this and then I only give it 4 out of 5 stars, and I will tell you about that once I tell you what this is about. This book is a queer retelling of The Fall of Satan. This book was so good, but it's broken into 2 parts. Check your trigger warnings, because part 2 does have some sensitive content, but part 1 is very slow. This book, like I said, is a retelling of The Fall of Satan. It's written in a biblical manner, if you will, so it can be hard to follow along. It can be hard to keep your interest. I feel like some days I had to make a goal for myself, you know, read 5 chapters or whatever it was, or else I wouldn't have read it. But then part 2 hits, and oh my god, I could not put it down. So part 1 is about Lucifer and his life in heaven and all that stuff. Part 2, I would say, is more about Satan. And I don't want to spoil anything, so read it and you'll understand. But this was just so good. It opens your eyes to different theories and different religious takes, if that's something you're into. It was delightful. I would give it 5 stars if it moved a little quicker in the first part. I feel like it kind of was drug out, but I loved it. Would recommend this to the end of my life. 4 out of 5 stars. Next book we have is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in the Caraval series. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. This book actually put me in a reading slump. 4 out of 5 stars still? Yes. Does that make much sense now that I'm saying it out loud? Not necessarily. This series is just a wonderful adventure. I enjoyed the second book. It kind of talked more about the romance aspect, which I thought was more of a focus point in this series. It's not necessarily, and I learned that the hard way. So in this book we go back to Caraval. This is about the sister Donatella and her romance, and it's fun. Still 4 to 5 stars. I love the adventure. It felt so fun. Great book. I feel like this series wasn't all it was written up to be, but still, in the time I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, I'm gonna trust why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars and just leave it at that. Then I was in the, you know, little strut of I don't want to read, and I was like, I need to finish the series. So we have the third and final one, Finale by Stephanie Garber. I give this 4 to 5 stars. This is just the closure, and I can't really tell you what it's about without spoiling the first 2, so I'm gonna keep it to myself. But this, a lot of people didn't enjoy because it was so fast-paced, but that was actually why I liked this one more than the first and second one. So I gave this one as well 4 out of 5 stars. But yeah, I feel like the end was rushed. It was an okay series. Looking back, I would give the series as a whole 3 out of 5 stars. Obviously not in the moment, I didn't do that, so I'm a little confused by myself. Next, we have another classic, The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. 4 to 5 stars. This is actually the favorite classic that I've read so far in my reading journey since I think I started reading classics in like November or December. This has been my favorite. This is a sci-fi. This is about an alien invasion. I think it was great. I like how the problem was resolved. Definitely would recommend this, especially if you're into sci-fi. This is wonderful. 4 to 5 stars. I turned my finished talking about stack sideways, so that will just slowly fill up. Next book we have is Once Upon a Broken Heart. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. You will see as I talk about this series, I was very let down by this series. This series gets a lot of hype. A lot of people love it. I think personally, I'm just not in my young adult era anymore of books. I'm not really into young adult series, and that's okay. Or I haven't picked the ones that really grab me. This book is about a girl who makes a deal with Jax, the Prince of Hearts, to save her lover who is marrying her stepsister because she's certain that the only reason he would marry her is because something is going wrong. And that's how this book starts. I don't know much else to say about it. Wasn't really my thing. I did like Jax though, but that's about it. Next book in the series, The Ballad of Never After. Once again, Stephanie Garber. I gave this one 4 to 5 stars. This was my favorite of this trilogy. This basically just continues on from what happens in the first book. Can't really say much about that without spoilers, but yeah, this one was much better. I feel like how people talk about Jax, I actually got from this book. I want morally gray main male characters / villains. I love morally gray. I was told Jax is morally gray and he's blonde. I love blondes, okay? I'm like that 1% of book talkers and book readers who like blonde main male characters. This man was supposed to be my dream boat. And I don't know, I feel like he could have been more evil or more questionable or more morally gray. And I feel like we got some of that in this book, and that's probably why it was my favorite. The ending made me livid. If you know, you know. 4 to 5 stars. So as I have been saying, I wasn't a big fan of the series. So I was like, hey, we need a little palate cleanser. So I went to Barnes, walked around, found this little number, right? Under 200 pages, quick read. Nothing that requires a lot of thought, just a smutty little thing. This is called The Dragon's Bride by Katee Robert. It is part of a Deal with the Demon series. 4 out of 5 stars. Let me tell you, this one threw me through a loop. This was lovely. So this series, because I did end up picking up the entire series, you'll see. This series is about, I believe, 4, I mean, my counting could be wrong. We'll see, I guess, as we go through the books. 4 girls who make a deal with this head bargainer demon that they get whatever they ask for 7 years of their life with each territory leader. I feel as though I explained this awfully. So basically, one of these women shows up and is like, hey, I want my sister's cancer treatment paid for. In return, this woman has to go to whatever territory she's assigned to for 7 years, and no harm can come to her, no advantage can be taken of her. But if she does end up having a child, that child has to stay in that realm. They can fall in love. Whatever can happen, but that's kind of the deal. So one of the territory leaders is a dragon named Sol. One of the territory leaders is a Kraken named Thane. One of the territory leaders is a gargoyle named Brahm. And the final territory leader, excluding the bargainer demon world, is a succubus. And I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm gonna look and I'm gonna try, and you guys are gonna laugh at me. I'm gonna say Rusalka, okay? Rusalka? Rusalka is my guess. And she is in charge of the succubus / incubus world. This is about the girl who makes the bargain and ends up with Sol. This is wonderful. This is a great book. I think that this author in this specific series does wonderful mixing plot with smut. It is the perfect ratio in my humble opinion. Wonderful little read. You know, you could read it in one sitting if you so chose. Would recommend. Next, we have the final book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. If you can see my sweat prints on it. Okay, sit with me now. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't like the trope in this book. I don't want to spoil what happens at the end of the second book that made me so mad, but somebody loses something. That's all I'm gonna say. Somebody loses something, and if you know, you know. It's my least favorite trope of all time, actually. Hands down. The loss of what this somebody lost is my least favorite trope of all time. That is like over half of this book. That is the premise of over half of this book. I'm not a big fan. I think the ending was also rushed. I think that the happily ever after was just really quick, and there wasn't a lot of closure, and I don't know. I don't think I can necessarily say that I enjoyed that series. I would give it a whole 3 out of 5 stars as a series. So sorry, Stephanie Garber, if you're watching this. Next book we have is the second book in the Deal with the Demon series. This is The Demon's Bargain by Katee Robert. So this series is all connected, sort of like the Twisted series, but you don't need to read them in order. I would recommend reading them in order because the ending of each one alludes to the next one, but you can read them in any order your heart desires. But this one is about a witch. The inverted of my camera, I was like, no. It's about a witch who ends up with one of the bargainer demons, actually. So not one of the territory people that I mentioned that the premise of the book is around, but with a bargainer demon. And they are throughout this entire series. So they are a, you know, main character throughout the series. But I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. This was the shortest one of the entire series. They're about 180 pages. This one was only about 110. I feel like this book just was missing something. Don't know what. Still a wonderful book. Still love the series. The stack is about to be taller than me. Next we have book 3, The Kraken's Sacrifice. Katie Robert. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. This one is about obviously the Kraken and the girl who ends up asking for, you know, whatever it is in exchange for 7 years. And I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. Once again, wasn't my favorite. The trope in it, it's a grumpy sunshine, but not in a good way, in my humble opinion. But still, I would recommend. Good series. They all have tropes and stuff at the beginning, so if you don't want to read the entire series and just want to read certain ones that you enjoy, you can look at content notes. They have tropes, they have tags, they have content warnings, they have everything you need, you know, in the first few pages. Next, we have another classic. We have Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Is this considered a classic? Probably. So Fahrenheit 451 is a dystopian future novel, and it is about firefighters, but not firefighters how we know. These firefighters go and burn any books. That's the whole thing. Books are not allowed in this book. You only can watch TV, you can listen to radio, but books are not allowed because basically they give you free thinking and give you different ideas than what the government is controlling. And this firefighter starts to realize, you know, something's not right here. And that's what this whole story is about. This one, I gave 3 out of 5 stars. I thought this was a good book. My biggest gripe with it was I felt as if it was written that I should already know what's going on, who's who, what's what. I didn't enjoy that. I know some people do. It kind of submerses you into the world. Wasn't my thing. I felt confused at times. I felt like I missed something. I enjoyed the ending though. I enjoyed that if you look into our world as it is, you can take similarities from books. Not that I necessarily enjoy. That probably shouldn't be my word that I use. It's kind of sad, but it's interesting, I guess, that you can take things that were written in dystopian novels and they can be similarities to things that are going on today. So yeah, would recommend. I just missed that. Would recommend. If you want drama, I'm about to give you drama. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia Faeries. First off, this cover, this copy, the deckled pages, yummy. I started this book in April. Actually, probably end of March. It is June 23rd, and I finished it like 2 days ago. Not a large read. It's not anything, you know, excruciating, classic-wise. This book just quite literally drained me. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries by Heather Fawcett. This is a cozy fantasy. This is the first cozy fantasy I've read. I realized that I did not explain what this book is about. So, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries is written in a field notes fashion, which was really interesting as a science major. I really enjoyed that. Basically, Emily Wilde goes to this northern European town to find this rare type of fairy. That is what this book is about. The main male character is her colleague, and they kind of have banter. They seem to not really like each other. That's kind of the whole vibe of this book. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. If that doesn't answer that I am not a cozy fantasy girly, I don't know what will. I didn't like that there was like no high stakes. I didn't like how slow and drawn out this is. When I rated this on Goodreads, a lot of people said the same thing though. So I'm like, I don't know if cozy fantasy enjoyers also agree with this sentiment, because cozy fantasy is not for me. I realize that now. So if you like it, take this with a grain of salt. I was thinking like there's a sequel and there's gonna be a 3rd book. I think the series is planned to be a trilogy. I would definitely listen to the next book and the 3rd one, like once again, if they were gifted to me or something, but I wouldn't spend money on this series. And once again, I would only listen, I wouldn't read, because it was just so cozy and boring that every time I read it, I was like, I'm going to bed now. And I want like a book where I'm laying down and I have to like sit up due to the craziness that just happened, you know. We have another book in this series. This is the 3rd to last book, Gargoyle's Captive. This is about Bron the Gargoyle and the woman who is in the gargoyle realm. I give this one 4 out of 5 stars because the trope in this, the dynamic between these two has been my favorite so far. I eat this up. This was delightful. Why was there no epilogue like there is in every other book? I don't know, but I'm so mad about it. I had beef. 4 out of 5 stars. Love it. Jack's wobbling, it's scaring me. All right, on to the most recent read book. I actually am like almost at the end. Haven't finished it, but this is the last book out in the Deal with the Demon series. There's one coming out in February and then the series is done. So kind of sad, but that's okay. This one is called The Succubus's Prize. So this is the last one in the realms, and then the next book is about the head bargainer demon who makes all these deals and the girl that he chose. But yeah, the main territories that are like mentioned throughout the book, this is like the last one. This one I'm probably gonna give 4 stars. I was leaning 5 stars, but I'm like, is that silly? Like, is that silly to give this 5 stars? I don't know. This one just has to do with religious trauma, so I'm automatically like, you got my attention, you know? I don't know. I like the dynamic of the two in this book, but we'll see. I'll obviously put it up here when I'm editing. I'm leaning to 4 stars. What a beautiful stack. Okay, also, why? I don't know whose idea it was to shrink, enlarge and shrink. That's cruel. This is delightful. This is wonderful. Look at that. Perfect. I hope you guys have enjoyed the books that I've read for the last 3 months. I'm gonna yap for a minute. My mission, you can't really see due to my stack of books, but I want to finish all the books on my shelf by the end of the year, which is about 70 books. And I have it very strategically planned out that I want to finish any whole sets I have on my shelf after I finish every standalone, right? So for example, Cruel Prince, From Blood and Ash, Shatter Me, series like that where they're giant series that a bunch of books are out and books are still coming out. I want to wait and put those off for as long as I can so I'm not buying more books. With that being said, my current physical read, so my audio read is Divine Rivals, or audio listen that is. My current physical read is Satan's Affair. I read Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline, the cat and mouse duet in February, and I hadn't read this, which is a prequel to the series. So I'm gonna check this out. Once again, we're getting through those standalones, baby. I don't know, I have a book buying problem. We'll see, I'm trying. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below. It was wonderful seeing you all again. If you've read any of these books, give me your opinions on ones that you liked and didn't like in the comments below. Remember, opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has them. Take mine with a grain of salt, and I'd love to listen to yours even if it's differing from mine. Thank you all so very much for watching. I will see you guys all next time. Bye everyone.